Iron Man Infinity War. We do know that he is going to get... Do we know he's going to get buffed? I think we do. Hey, welcome back to the channel. All right, the second full season of Battlegrounds is over. We're about to start our third, depending on when you see this. Plus, the first full Vega Battlegrounds Championship. Hopefully you had a chance to catch that out. Legacy, so many of them were absolutely amazing, right? I had so much fun with that. We're getting our second one started here on November 28th. Make sure you catch that out. But I have seen and played a lot of Battlegrounds, and this is going to be, I think, the 5th or 6th iteration of the Battlegrounds rankings here. You can see the legend in the upper right-hand corner. If you're interested in the screenshot size, follow me on Twitter at Vega Playbook. And on Instagram, I'm going to start posting the screenshot size as long as channel member Adam is continuing to be willing to do it. He's been amazing in putting that together for me. I really do appreciate it. And I'll get that up on those two platforms about 2 weeks afterwards. Give him some time and some time for all this to go through. So there you go. Let's go ahead and get started on it. You see the legend up there in the upper hand corner, and the microphone emojis means we're going to talk about it. Shifting relationship, promotion to motion, something like that has happened. In the dual threat, now I believe in the dual threats. Right now, you can see I've listed a lot of the MCoC Illuminati, their channels, their videos. They do Battlegrounds too, of course. Nerd has done an extensive amount of research, highly skilled player, and he does believe more in the nukes, but you're going to have to see his videos because he'll do a better job explaining it than I do. I like the dual threats. They really help me out. If you've seen my streams, things that you've heard me talk about, like winning ugly, things like that, getting to that third round, and I can place a defender that I know is going to take time. And that's what I've enjoyed using. So here we are, and you can see the ones that we're really going to talk about. And just so you know, the cross swords on this portion means defensive leaning, right? Or potential uses. So Doom's more defensive leaning, but still amazing use on offense, of course. We've got Gallon there. I think newness is still part of it, but really, I think in a couple months, it's going to be time just to remove that emoji. I think he just belongs there. Just want to keep an eye out. Make sure Kabam doesn't try to nerf him or anything like that. Hulkling's amazing. He deserves his spot, and Hyperion is phenomenal. We've seen him used offensively, incredibly. Defensively, ironically, people have been able to handle him, but I think that's more... I think that's more an effect of people knowing how to fight him and being prepared for him, or maybe even having a counter. In which case, that's why he's still in the dual threat tier above all, is because he's so good offensively, and defensively, he's requiring a counter or skilled play or a very, very friendly AI. He definitely deserves to be up there, in my opinion. All right, now let's go ahead and look at like kind of your second tier, still amazing top shelf options for dual threats. Now, these champions are still phenomenal, right? Now, these are just general rankings. So the mode or the nodes themselves, they change, right? They change over the course of the 4-week season. They change 4 times. I'll try to do updated stuff on the modes itself, but this is general. Like, you're looking at this, who should I rank up? How do I want to build my deck? That sort of thing. Now, there still are going to be very, very good dual threats, and depending on the nodes itself, could be some of the best attackers or defenders in the game. Wiccan, so I cannot wait to get my Wiccan into Battlegrounds. I've taken him to rank 3. Hopefully you've seen my videos on him of late. I'm gonna put him in there. He's still apparently causing some problems on defense, meaning he's actually causing like black screens and things like that. So that's not good. But I do think he's going to be a defender that people really need to know how to fight and or bring in a very specific counter. So I think even though he's going to be phenomenal when the defender has a lot of buffs and you're going to be able to use that in fights fast, I think he's still going to be someone who on defense is going to cause some problems for some people. The same kind of goes for Spider-Man Supreme. I just prefer the neutralize of Wiccan than I do the kind of copying, let's say, of buffs of Spider-Man Supreme, but I think he's going to be a tough defender. I have that little like video game monster up there because it's signifying newness, maybe part of it, right? Like I want you to be aware as people learn to fight these champions or as time goes on, we might discover that there's answers or the opinion's still being formulated. It's strong enough to have them placed now. Moving on, similar to Quicksilver, I do think Quicksilver is a little defensive leaning because he's not, despite the name, that fast. That being said, I just put out the Essentials video on him showing you can take a 200,000 health pool in a minute. That's pretty darn fast. That's really fast. And then when you add all the utility he has offensively and the fact that he's a troublesome defender, I think he's well deserved of that spot. Titania, Titania could get moved up. With her, I really have the little fencing there, I mean, offensive leaning. I used her in the final meta of this last season where you needed to intercept, and being able to go unstoppable, unblockable, and indestructible, unsurprisingly, was awesome for it. But I really don't think that really changed too much. Her damage is increasing anyways and ramps up very, very fast. I could potentially see her moving to the tier above all. I really want to keep an eye on her. And the same goes for Spot. I just haven't seen Spot use. He's so new, but I feel very comfortable with him in this position, in this spot. Nick136 has been showing us a lot. I believe that's all been on the CCP server, though. I really think as people pull him, get him, it might take till the next featured crystal, right? Because he's going to be a while. But I think we're going to see him there. He's a tough fight, odd animations, and then his ability to ramp up and do significant damage quickly is clearly present. There's no concern for me on that one. Then, moving on to the Cosmic Top Shelf, we have a new entrant in Nova, right? Campo has been showing us this already, right? He used Nova a few times offensively against like Penny Parkers and just champions in general. And then Nova, I know a lot of us know how to fight him, but he can still cause problems, even if you know how. If you're not able to nullify his buffs, it can really become a problem. So he's someone who you're not like wanting to necessarily use offensively, but in a pinch, I think it was MP Blaze and DLL's worst of the term, was in a pinch, he can win those fights for you. He's worth it. He's wanting that super high sig, so keep that in mind too. But I feel very comfortable with that ranking of Nova. All right, now there may be some champions that overlap, but I've tried to really remove them all. I feel like they're either dual threats and therefore can obviously be amazing attackers or defenders, and I've put the emoji to signify if they're stronger in one than the other. But there might be one or two champions that are still overlapping. Just kind of keep that in mind. Like, you're not going to see Domino as the top tier defender, but that's because she's in the tier above all for dual threat. She's an amazing, amazing defender. So keep that in mind. Going through here, Juggernaut, I just want to call out, I know we talked about him in the last video, but it's not just Suida and Aiden anymore. We saw FinTech using him. He's phenomenal. He's awesome. If you're like, what are you talking about? Really look into that. Watch those videos on him. He can do tremendous damage and do it quickly, which is kind of rare for the Mystics, right? Obviously, Tigra can, but if you have a rank 4 200 Tigra, good chance she's going to get banned. Juggernaut might be someone that you're kind of looking at there. They do different things, but if you're like a Mystic Nuke, he's got it going on. That is for sure. Moving on through, I don't have the microphone next to him, but Masakari was promoted. He was already in this tier, but he has been moved up. One of the biggest things I learned from FinTech is that SB2 into block that he does, the heal back mechanics that some defenders have, it often doesn't trigger that. That is kind of a big deal. Like we saw Finn use it to take out weapon X's, which was really just blew my mind. I thought it was so impressive. Rocket Raccoon, now that he's got that buff, right? His ability to have so many crits in a row, plus the heal block, there's a lot there. I think we're going to see him potentially even move up in that tier. If you had him and were able to use him for the latest meta, let me know. Now, the latest meta didn't accentuate him necessarily, but it was a meta that was really nicely built for him. I want to get another season in before I move him up any higher in the rankings, but I do feel very, very confident about that. All right, and then we'll quickly talk about the second tier of just pure attackers. Wong, Jinx has been on my Discord server, been showing us a lot. Now, the thing is, Jinx is a very good player. This is kind of starting to remind me of Black Panther with Na. Na was showing me stuff about Black Panther for a very long time. But one of the things I had to keep in mind was I'm like, they're outrageously skilled players and they know these champions outrageously well. I do feel like that might be part of what's going on there with Wong, although Jinx is really showing it to us a lot. I could see Wong moving up, and Wong honestly does have some defensive potential. So consider this more me wanting to call this out. If you have Wong and you're using him, let me know. And let me know, like, how effective is he? What sort of scores are you getting with him? Then we'll move on through. That's it for the second tier of attackers. And we'll move on to the tier of defenders. You can see I've removed a lot of the kind of people that were duplications. They either were dual threats or they weren't, so that's what's happened there. And then Atuma. I think Atuma is going to potentially be a classic defender. I'm not quite ready to put him in there with Korg, Penny, and Thing in that, like, no matter how long they are in the game and there's so many counters, they're just going to be champions that stall or do enough damage back or things like that. But I have a feeling he's designed well. And I think he might be a little slow offensively for attack, which is why he's not in dual threats right now. But let's see how that goes. I think he's going to be a pain to fight. You're going to want to be prepared and you're going to want to have your answers let's see. I'd like some feedback on that as he comes into the game more and more. Iron Man Infinity War, we do know that he is going to get... Do we know he's going to get buffed? I think we do. I'm going to leave that in because I actually don't remember. And I think it'd be fun to see that. This is what happens on live stream sometimes where I'm like, I can't remember what is announced and not. If it's not announced, I'll just edit this all out. But Iron Man Infinity War, I do think he was a decent defender. Maybe now we'll have some offensive use. We'll see. I'm a little bit skeptical of that, to be honest. But he can cause problems. Some of you kind of want to be prepared for, at least know how to fight Shuri. I think Shuri is definitely going to be at least a decent defender. Anyone who has all non-contact attacks, you cannot reparry her. Means you're going to want to have a champion like Proxima or Quicksilver. Quicksilver's going to take some time to get up his 600 terminal charges or momentum, I think it is. And that's going to take time in Battlegrounds. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And then that's it. That is it for the Battlegrounds. Remember, these are like a general idea. So as you're building your deck, right? Because you can't just totally rank up for each individual meta. At least you can't rank up 30 champions for it. This is what I'm using. These are my thoughts, my opinions. Obviously run through the MCoC Illuminati. And then I'll do what I can to get out some stuff on the metas and things like that as time goes on. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with, who you were using, because we also will use that information to implement it into the Battlegrounds tier list. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.
I hope you either learned something, were entertained, or even better, a little bit of both. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.